Greetings and salutations, guys, gals, people, pals. This is Gentleman Mr. Turtle, and we're here with the Friday Fighters podcast for Street Fighter Duels. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Normally, we just go into talking, but I would actually like to, introduce, I guess, some of the people that we actually have here normally frequently. We have Tix, the free-to-play god. We have Don Booker, who is making waves in chapter 37, right?
I'm trying.
We got Flake, aka Flake the Cut. And we got the quiet Sylvius in chat and free to play casual as well. They don't speak, but they're very vocal in chat, so we appreciate them. And the topic on today, there's three overall, but the one I would like to start with is actually a question that free to play casual asked before in chat, and Bookish suggested it. Is what is the best min-maxing way to spend your gems, cash, city tokens, and now the all ever infamous, I guess, soul stones? What do you guys think? How do you guys think is the best way? Because like I know I struggle, especially with gems.
I think you're doing it right then, because there is no way you save gems.
Bro,
especially as a low spender, you spend them as you get them.
Yeah, so I was reading what Solo was like. He's like, oh, I do this, and I'm like, because he does. I think he says he does four to seven free pulls. I don't know how he does a whole bunch of free pulls for the resources, and then he does I think one ticket every day.
He gets 3 tickets every day.
Yeah, and then there's a list, and I'm just like, and then he said it's like 3,000 something. I'm like, I'm barely struggling to get 2,000. How are you getting all of these gems?
Okay, let me answer that. You know that on his main account and on my main account, we both have the subscriptions available, which nets you about 1,300 gems.
That makes a lot more
every
sense.
day.
Yeah, I used to do that. Oh, you guys
using the subscriptions? I haven't used
also
those in so long.
One thing that I have to say is there's a lot of whales, and I used to do this as well. When you go to your, where is it, mall, I think? No, perks, every day, I can't see it on my free to play, of course, but you get a chun pack if you bought something. And that chun pack gives you 700 gems for, I want to say, $1, even less, I think. So most people buy that as well, or like they just have it running. I wouldn't know why, because why would you need 20 copies? But just that deal on its own, 700 gems for $1 is probably the best value in the game if you just need sheer gems. Don't ever buy the gems from the store. It's such disgustingly shit value.
Yep.
It's actually a scam. But every gacha is like this, so I suspect people know this by now.
Yeah, there's just a lot of bad packages in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used to buy the subscriptions. I did that for like the first 2 months, and then I stopped.
I only got them for the first month.
Yeah, it was. Those are really good. That was helpful. I was like, I stopped
buying the cheap one because I just didn't really see the value in it, and I wanted to cut my spending. And if you want to buy one of the subscriptions, the last one has way more value, especially at my VIP level.
I was gonna say I just got to VIP 12.
Oh yeah, then you're enjoying life.
And bro, I see this extra box for 300 car tokens or 40 faith gems every day. Oh, I'm like, ooh, that's I might actually be tempted to purchase the more expensive pack.
Well, yeah, that's how they get you into spending more when you're ready to spend the right.
Yeah,
it's so free value.
Wait, whoa, that's actually pretty good.
I mean, it's fucked when the game is literally rewarding people that spend, I think, 10k or more by giving them 10 free divs every so often.
Yeah. The
VIP 14.
Yeah, VIP 14. Yeah.
Yep.
When I look at the difference going from 12 to 13, I'm like,
it's so disgusting. Yeah. VIP 14, I think, is 350,000 points, by the way.
Now, would you count VIP as a way of min-maxing your account?
No, because there's so many bad purchases and people doing bad purchases that
yeah,
I could probably have spent half the amount I did, and then I would I have pretty much the same accounts. I'm gonna be real with you. But that's mostly because I got shafted by poison packs and divination. But yeah,
I
but it
think
remains
for
the
me to,
same.
be able to switch things around, I'd have to be way more active in Super Showdown and stuff like that, and a lot of the PvP activities, which I'm just not really around for a lot. So I miss out on these perks.
Yeah, Super Showdown is really important.
A lot, right? So
Is it really? Because I don't
Getting
bother with
grants.
showdown.
Super
I
Showdown.
just do regular arena to make sure I'm
Bro,
like.
there's
So
many.
Super Showdown, right? If you just get to top 64, it's 5 SSTs and 1000 Fave Gems. If you make it to top
Fate
16,
Gems is the huge thing, dude. What
yeah, Fave Gems is huge. If you make it to top 16, it's another 1200 Fave Gems and 10 SSTs. So just getting to top 16, that's you 2200 Fave Gems and 15 free SSTs, which is huge. Like that's my aim for every. Like I tried to get top 4, but I can't always get that, and then well, top 16 is good enough for rewards. Like if
But
you're a
isn't
spender
that
and you can
shit,
consistently
like-
get top 16,
Isn't that whale territory though?
Tiggs gets there.
Does he?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gets there.
before the merge, I've been getting top 4 most of the time.
Ooh.
But then after the merge, the first one after the merge, I got top 4 somehow. But then it's harder to get top 4 with the merge because especially with the new soul core stuff.
Yeah, the soul core stuff changes a lot of things when it comes to whaling. Like the level 480 people that might be in your server clusters will now guaranteed win it without even bothering to change anything in their lineups.
Yeah, and also it also really depends on RNG. Like if you're over here and you're fighting harder, like regular top 16 opponents in your first bracket, then it does, cut your income from Showdown quite a bit.
I just see a statement from free to play casual that's kind of annoys me because he says that the battle royale gives a 32 free boost to us every week, which is true. It is very true. But when you're a spender, especially like a spender who like is VIP 12 or above, you will face waves that you can never beat because your level is just so high that the game gives you waves that are never beatable. Like Solo, for instance, he isn't even the highest rank. I don't even think he's the second highest rank in Battle Royale because he can never win fights anymore. Because unless you're an Uber whale, VIP 12 to 14 get shafted the most because they have really high levels usually, but their characters aren't maxed enough to beat the characters they are facing. So that is a territory where Battle Royale completely fucks you. And then it's basically impossible to like even get there to rank 1 if you have an active server. But
Even if you're not facing really strong opponents, there are people that actually, like in my battle zone or in my server, not battle zone. Like I've been winning most of the fight and use the technique where you lose and then you win again to get more points than you should. And there's still people that this is the only mode they can get number 1 in at. So then they use gems to prevent you to get number 1.
yeah, I mean, if you look at the scoreboards, at least on the EU, in Battle Royale, like the server wide, it's actually so funny to me because rank 1 is level 138. He has 290 level in heroes. He's got a plus 20 6 out of 6 Fashion Blanca, a plus 20 3 out of 6 Yun, and a plus 20 3 out of 6 Elena. That is his lineup, right? His top 6 heroes. And he's rank 1 in Battle Royale with 3,200 points. Keep in mind that 2,500 points equals highest rank, and that if you win every single fight after that and you use the proper strategy, then you should be able to get about 2,600, 2,700 points at best without spending gems. And you get 5 points every win. So just think about the amount of gems that they're putting into the rank 1 for fun.
That's fucking ridiculous.
But then I look at the scoreboards and rank 5 and 7, are actually competing on the same server, and it's actually so funny to me. They're 2,853 points and 2,787 points. One of them, I wouldn't even say either of them are really spenders, or like are these big spenders, but it's just funny to see them competing and using so many gems that it's never worth even going for rank 1.
So back to the gems and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
is it good to actually like reset the stores for certain things every day, or is it good to do for the resources gains, the fast gains? Like what?
To be
Like where we are at now at this time, because it's like overall, like obviously yes, beginners have a slight different way of going about it, but at the end of the day, they're going to get to where we are in months if they choose to, and I think it's just a general idea that we should just figure out a good way to do it anyways for all
okay. Well,
levels.
let me start. Like, to be fair, there is two types of players where you play for units and play for, more diverse roster and more luxury units for free to play or like low spenders, or do you want to value resources like building your units rather than have a bigger roster? So I mean, those two, I prefer one over the other just because having stronger units means you rank higher and you get more resources, the premium resources, so you compensate that somehow. But also, like the way to spend on the resources change with the new update, especially since, well, if you haven't done the full fast gains, like fast gain has way more value now because you get more resources, the new soul cores, and they actually give quite a bit of soul cores and stuff like that. And the higher you are, like fast gains, it scales with the dojo level. So if your account level is higher, then you get way more boost in resources for cash, breakstone, and exp. And when you're talking about refreshing the general store, I actually did 2 refreshes for the 100 gems, and then it goes to 200, but not anymore. I used to refresh it to buy cash for card tokens, cash for card tokens, and gems for card tokens, but not anymore, just because it's quite expensive and you want to prioritize the soul cores. So every day, I would say you should buy the soul shards, the yellow ones, all 3 of them, and you should buy all 3 of the soul cores, which is 750 gems for 30 soul cores. I mean, I would do it just because that resource gives you so much in terms of stats, and even though it's quite expensive, it is expensive, but and you get quite a little bit. But I would say just stocking up on them means that you're gonna have more plus 80s in the end. If you do.
So I got words about that real quick. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later on the Soul Stones thing. But I got words on that because
Yeah. So yeah, basically TLDR, the priority of workshop token for me switched, but that could change in terms of where you are at in the game, and maybe early on you could prioritize more towards card tokens, but when you're well off, then you can switch towards soul cores, at least like 1 soul core a day into like full 3 soul cores a day.
so now I want to ask Don and then Flake because like the levels of I guess because from my understanding I know Don spent, but I know Flake has spent. Am I correct?
I think we're both in the same spending category, but I've spent way more time in the game, so I'm also way more advanced than him in the sense that I've access to more resources because I've completed the game more.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you're doing the
deep level
super showdowns and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and
and being able to take advantage of those resources puts you definitely ahead of somebody who's just spending and not dealing.
Yeah.
And also in 2 days I'm at chapter 40.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Yeah. So, Don, because I love that when you share your account, you have cars upon cars upon cars. Where I mean, I could just call you John Leno at this point. So, like, and how you handle your resources, and I know you, like you said, you do spend. So, what do you feel is the best way to min max in the way you handle it?
Well, the best way, I don't think I can really speak on the way that I've been doing it is like you said, like I still have a lot of cars and I still put a lot of uh weight into wanting to get cars just because there's so many units that I want to use and their cars will help in that. Like I still want to use OG Blanca. Obviously I still want to finish my Mummy Dalsim, and and even as unused as they are, I only need two more cars for my DiCapri, and we'll figure out a place for her. But I just want the stats and all that stuff from all those cars, even if the 6 or the 3-6 isn't super good. If the stats are good, it'll make me want to get cars. That makes sense.
So
So
you still hold cards at the highest value in the game.
I still hold them pretty high. Yeah, I think boost stones is obviously higher than cars. It's just you can get way more cars than stones. It's a lot easier.
Just purchasing outright, right?
I mean, it's depending on luck, right? You can get really lucky with cars, and then you can get really unlucky.
Unlucky, yeah. Fortunately, I've been pretty cooking on cars, and it hasn't dried up yet. So, just gonna hope that train
knock on wood.
But yeah, other than that, I usually always buy my heroic grant with boost stones, and I usually always get the crusade grant with workshop tokens. I don't purchase loose tokens or anything. Like if they have in the mall, if they have like, I think right now we have the enlightenment scroll pack, and there's the soul power special pack. If they ever do these for car tokens, I don't do these. The rates I feel are pretty trash for spending actual money at outside of a grant.
And Flake.
So you just want to talk about gems, or do you want to talk about resources
just
in
like
general?
overall, yeah, because like
like how you
because I'm noticing there's a very big difference. Like Texas, like I do fast things, and Don's like cars, homie, cars all around. But you know, it's different per person. So what do you do?
At the moment, I'm still thinking that soul cores in the shop are the value is so bad because it's 800 gems for only 30. The soul shards I'm buying every day, right? It's actually, let me see on my free to play. It's 2,000. It's 7,500 gems. 7,500 cash, which is a lot. But I don't really need boost stones anymore because I stopped using my grants for fighter XP. So I don't have an influx of that anymore. But so what I spend my resources on is every day I go to my shop and I buy the workshop tokens for gems, the workshop tokens for cash, one special summon tickets, and all of the soul shards. Then I refresh my shop, buy the workshop tokens, both the packs, and do that again. I never go over 100 gems for a refresh on my general store, which I mean,
over how many?
I just do 2 refreshes because after 2 refreshes it becomes 200 gems, and then it's and then it becomes too costly in my opinion because
for a reset. I wait at 200 unless that extra reroll is going to give me like an hour pull.
Yeah, true.
So
even then I'm just like whatever.
What are you guys buying in the city shop, in the honor shop, and dismissal?
I was gonna get into it, but yeah. Basically, I buy the boost stone kits every day in city shop. In other shop, I'm only buying rose. I think the boost stone kits for 165k are actual awful value. I would rather, like, I'm 1 copy away on my main from triple S rose because I kind of stopped using divinations for after SS plus. But so I after I get my last rose, I'm just gonna hoard my tokens. because in the other versions, eventually there was a character in there, a legendary character that you can only get for like, I think it was 500k or 1 million of those 100 coins. And it'll take a while to accumulate, and I would rather have head start on that than buy 25 boost stone kits for 165k.
Yeah, I actually sent Dino the shop of that. They had for 60,000 city shop tokens. It was 20 shards of, or maybe 15 shards of evil Ryu.
Yeah, so basically 240,000, which is, well, a month if you're lucky and you get 2 times 200% shadow.
Yeah, and that's for a legendary.
Yeah, that's for legendary. And meanwhile, we get 50 legendary boosters for 64k after 10 shop refreshes, which is, of course, never listed anywhere, and we had to figure that out ourselves.
I love figuring out everything on our own.
Yeah, it's so
My
fun.
favorite.
Especially not having a test server and then they release units that are broken and Virgil is still bugged, and I love it.
So I guess we could lead into the whole soul update and everything like that. What do y'all think about
It's bad. In its current form, it's bad. I'll rephrase myself. It's a good concept, but it's rolled out in the wrong way.
You know, when it first came out, it took me like an hour to find it. I couldn't find where it was.
That's all this is. We need to.
Yeah, that's because it's only on like 9 characters.
Yeah, we just need to resell you on characters you already spent for that you thought were done. You thought your Sea Viper was done, but now, nah, spend more.
Oh, about that, by the way.
exactly.
I know Hazing made a video about it, about the value, but I do 100% agree with them. And I also told my free-to-play guild about this. Try not to waste your resources yet on Viper. She's good in Crusade and boss battles, but I mean, I'm expecting more characters to get them every patch, which is every 2 weeks.
I'm waiting
Here's
for
the thing,
Daddy.
here's the thing. I'd like to argue why I chose Viper with reasons, but then I do agree with your point, right? Like, we don't know what the future unholds, and it could be, something I might regret. But then, for me personally, I value Viper not only as a DPS. I mean, it does help her DPS, but then the stuff that she provides in terms of her support, like not just armor energy, but the shield plus energy itself, I get like 1 to 1.5 extra super when it procs on all 3 units.
Yeah.
And that's quite huge.
True.
And for me, since I also play Showdown, right? And Showdown's like, it's pretty big in terms of resources that you gain. For her, I have her on a solo DPS team, which is, she needs to survive and she needs to carry her weight for being a solo DPS in that role. My other 2 teams both have 2 DPSs in the form of like either Bison and Guile, which is a DPS or a DPS booster, and then I have a Flanka and Dalsim. So that's my reason, but I do agree what Hazing said, and I promoted his video because that's a good insight.
I'm gonna put my death cap on, and what I think that the reason why is that because I think you mentioned it before, Tix, that they're like they chose PvP units to like promote for the first Soul Stones, and then they chose like all the other like busted Master Infernos and stuff like that. But I think they did that to drain people of the Soul Stones and to get them kind of hyped and like push it onto these people, because the next rotation is gonna be where it's gonna force people to then choose to spend the diamonds more. Because it might be Bison, or it might be Guile, or y'all know me, I'm waiting for Dawson. It could be like anything of those sorts, where then now people are like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have gotten that Viper, maybe I shouldn't have put in E Honda. Like, for me personally, I think the sneak ones are gonna be Elena. I think the sneak ones are gonna be Abel. Like I think those like depending on what they do and how they do it, I think it could be possible that those are gonna be busted. You know, or street poison. Maybe something where she maybe now attacks. Maybe her buff is like 200, 3%, 300%. Like imagine something like that, and then everybody's gonna be like, "Fuck, how am I going to get this now?"
Oh, to put that, I would agree to put every soul core thing only on DPS. Like nothing. Like, I wouldn't even consider tanks. Like Abel might have something
No,
good.
then I think that's unfair to all the units. If you're literally restricting it, like what about people
Just in
who
terms
are
of
fans
return
of
on
it?
your investment. Like if you do it on a tank, it does help your tankiness. But then in what content that would help is mostly only for challenge mode. Because you don't use it in bossing or in events. Well, maybe this current event you use tanks, but in PvP you generally also don't rely it on solely on tanks.
Yeah, but
Um,
I'm
So
also thinking about like story
Now,
as well because
how hard would
go ahead,
sorry?
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just saying, how hard would you go for like if Zangief instead of having 25% through his boost stone stuff, say he had 35, 40% damage reduction from elements.
Or
That would be nice,
or
but that's not.
Able instead of
Or
two
if they
shields,
like
he gets 3 shields or 4 shields.
yeah, or if they like increase the duration.
So can I
wait,
can I just
wait.
point out real quick that the level 100 PvP damage reduction bonus is 15% less damage. Like that's huge on a tank.
I just want to do one quick counter argument on why we just shouldn't be hyped about any of the stats boosts we will get. Have you guys seen the numbers on the free to play characters and what got buffed? It's compared to let's say Akuma, right? Because Akuma is available to the public still. Have you seen the abilities bonus from the level 4 pass so that you get at level 40 or level 80?
Oh, for like Honda, like you would get 2 extra bullet wall attacks.
Yeah. Or for Viper, you get like what 30% extra attack scaling compared to
Yeah, for each half.
compared to 170% attack on Akuma C2. 170.
Okay. Fair.
Also, another thing is, what is most important to have stars in the game? Your DPS or your tanks?
It has to be DPS. Like I'm a DPS slave, but I mean, I personally think that DPS has a higher priority over any.
That
Well, that's what I'm
is,
saying. Like, what if Zangief gave you 35 or 40% damage?
But yeah, but in
I main tank and support, so
you main
Okay,
Dhalsim.
for support
in
okay,
my in most of my game life, I made tank and support, and so I throughout actually playing my game, I maxed Zangief first to make sure I stay alive,
okay,
and
so Turtle,
Dhalsim was second
here's
For
Turtle. Okay, wait.
until I got Bison, and then shit changed.
for high level PvP, from what I've been noticing in the ends of final showdowns, it's a tank meta. Like, yeah, Akuma and Iryu and all those guys are insane, and like you need to be able to counter Bison and all that, but like sustain wins PvP, and the rewards for doing well in final showdown are very strong. I'm just saying there's a little bit of merit to having some beef in your box.
To be fair, Akuma and Evil Ryu are both not that great in PvP.
That's true. And for me, the PvP is mostly only AoE or backline attackers, because you generally don't want your damage like Cammy and stuff like that, or single target units like Vega. He does pretty good damage, but it only attacks the front line. Well, he does hurricanes for AoE, but mostly just frontline damage. But attacking the front line is also not that good for PvP, in my opinion.
It's Bison, Viper, B Zangief, and Elena. That's what I normally face.
Yeah, Elena's
And
But
then like
in these final showdowns that I'm talking about like the booms and the solos and stuff, where you're seeing team comps where it's like Sagat, Zangief, Rose, and Achun,
Oh yeah,
What
they're
is
actually
the cures?
targeting
Like
and stuff. Yeah.
all the team comps are like that.
Okay,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no,
mean.
no.
Like it's
That is a
all
cheese comp.
stacked ridiculously
Yeah, those are
sustain heavy stuff.
Those are cheese comps. Because
But
what
how
you
do you
want to do
beat
with
them?
that is you
Because
want to
these
time out.
people are maintaining Final Showdown in the strongest zones in NA. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you actually beat it? You can say it's cheese, that's fine, but like,
No, but you could
tank
beat
matters.
it. You could beat it, but they don't have that 1 giga whale that could actually beat it. They don't have the 480 whale. And solo does actually lose to stronger people. So keep that in mind.
I'm talking about Booms here. I'm talking about Booms' teams.
I have no idea what Booms is. I'm gonna be real with you. I heard solo and was like,
In that zone, Solo's basically the third. It's mostly between Booms and Zeus. And the teams that Booms and Zeus trade between are all tank sustain comps. It's all like really heavy trigger based, sustain based, like you need to get through a Zangief and a Sagat before you can deal with the rest of my team kind of stuff. Or you need to deal with Rose and H-Shun, or you need to deal with Iryu and Akuma and Bison all doing their, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
And that's where I think Goken comes into play because he's going to be that guy because apparently he's busted from like he.
oh yeah.
Goken for
Focus
PvP.
passive is broken.
Yeah, so that changes a lot of things if you're talking about like sustain and team building. And me personally, whenever I'm talking about a team, I never think PvP. PvP is like my secondary thought. I'm always thinking about story because that's what I care for.
Virgil, you want to know something funny?
Yo.
You know how Dalsim is one of the squishiest units in the game, and that's the reason why he can't really perform in PvP?
Well, first of all, yes, he can. But go ahead, continue.
Goken has a revive.
I know.
So Dalsim could actually be used in PvP. Like, think of a Dalsim, Summer Yang, Goken, and Abel plus 30 team.
Yeah, you need Elena.
No. S Yang would be fine because ideally in Showdown you run 3 teams, and you could get away with using S Yang there and Elena on a different
yeah,
team.
if Elena's on a different team, but I normally prefer. I put Elena above Shane. Those feature who won the win Showdown.
Yeah, but that lineup will win 90% of the matchups, and you want to secure the second win as well.
Yeah, that's true. Because like the reason I use Dalsum now, the only team I'm scared of is Viper, and even then I'm kind of not scared because I use Abel on Dalsum.
Oh, you don't even your lineup.
I completely forgot to mention the one thing that's looming in the PvP meta, which is Virgil Nero. Like that pairing in specific is just bonkers.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, I don't face those, so I can't speak on that.
Yeah, but like Goken might actually be a little wrinkle in the ability to like counterplay that.
Yeah, but once they run, I think Nero and Virgil will be kind of dead, and Goken and Virgil will be the next best combo.
Well, like the thing about Virgil is he's like a really good go second team. And so like if you're already building these like really tank stacky 103 speed units, like they're already going to go first, but like if you throw a Goken at a Virgil, like yeah, your Virgil's going to pop, or the Virgil's going to pop your entire team, but like Goken says, okay, that's fine, we can go to the next rotation.
So I guess my thing
you're
is
forgetting one thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
There's people with Virgil at +5 that can actually use them in PvP. They also have that Goken.
Yeah, but I'm assuming they won't put him on the same team, right?
Here's my question.
I think they will.
In terms of versing tanks, and this is like I understand normally. This is from the perspective of dots, and I'm also talking about bleed as well. This is why I highly value Vega up there as well. I wish he was a little AOE, but you know this is why I'm happy for Mummy Dawson. But like in terms of dots versus these tanks and these sustained heavy teams, and I have to make sure that this is clear. As long as the dots don't clear when the said enemy unit revives or heals or does whatever its kit is designed to do, as long as the burn stays, Me personally, I'm not as worried against these teams. That's why I hold like these status effects so highly, because it's like no matter how much damage reduction you have, it doesn't hold weight unless it actively says reduce burn and fire damage. And that's why like Zangief, like yeah, he reduces fire damage, but I'm just like, all right, he's the last one alive, and I'm just waiting until I get 30 stacks, and he'll just die.
Pretty much.
But the thing is, Sir Turtle, like while you're building up your stacks, you need to survive to build that.
Yeah, no, obviously. That's why I'm using like Abel, E Honda, Zangief as my assist or on my team. Or, I use Elena to make sure I'm surviving. Like
Are
I'm
we still talking PvP showdown or?
I roughly use the same team for story and PvP because it works for
Yeah,
me.
but PvP and showdown are different things because triple team, if you use those assists and on that lineup, who do you have for your third and second and third lineup?
So let's talk about that. What's the what are the teams for second and third lineup? Like, because Don over here
start
is not
mine.
even using Bison on either of his teams.
Yeah, I think Dix is probably the best one to answer this because he's a free to play and most of the free to plays will have access to his units.
This is what I read, Sir Turtle.
So you use Bison, B Zangief, Guile, Elena as team one. Zangief, Fashion Blanca, Summer
S.
Yang,
Yang?
Dawson.
S Yang there is way better than Dalsim over there.
No, I've been testing things out. I've been putting Fashion Blanca as my 4 or my Dawson as 4 and having Elena on the board. And having her on
Yeah.
the board with 6 cards in FS30, she's freaking amazing. But then you use
Exactly.
Abel, Viper, Rose, and Street Poison.
The bottom team, Rose has heals. Abel provides the immunity shield, so then you don't really need S Yang or Elena to heal. So then you have all your sustain there, plus Viper's AOE shield that she gives everyone. And so that
Don't
one.
forget Potato.
What'd you say?
Don't forget Potato.
Oh yeah, yep, and Potato. To be fair, I might switch the Vigilante up into the first slot because apparently the speed works, right?
Yeah, but it only unlocks at level 20 because you need
Yeah.
a star before you get the speed.
That's true. Yeah, that's the only thing I would change. But yeah, I mean that team, it's definitely a solid like 3 teams, like all balanced out. You could make a hyper 2 teams and then just play your dices. Like you can play 2 strong teams and just feed your weak team to their strongest. But then that requires really RNG. Like you have to be lucky that you predict that they're gonna have the same placement, or you try to do mind games and then the placements you predict they're gonna change it to your lineup and then you actually counter their prediction. But
Is that a built Rose or a borrowed Rose?
That's a build
that's
Rose. You can't use mercs in a showdown.
Okay.
so yeah, in that sense that could work. If you're fighting someone really strong, you can feed one of your team and make 2 strong teams. But generally, I run 3 solid cores because maybe they have a chance of winning.
Okay,
But yeah,
so how about
you could change a lot.
outside of PvP? Let's talk about story, because I know story is also important. Where people are trying to get to chapter 40, chapter whatever, blah blah blah, and they're like, I'm stuck on chapter 36 for months and stuff like that. What are the teams to use when you getting close to 2 teams? Because I noticed like that's why I was like I want to hear from Don, because he's doing stuff like Dawson, B Zangief, Elena, and Fashion Blanca, Guile. This one, I'm gonna put an asterisk. It's not accessible anymore. Nero and Summer Yang. So like these are diverse teams that a lot of people are kind of running, not running at the same time, and dual DPS and dual tanks are a thing now.
Okay, one question. How many teams do you want? Because I'm on 4-team territory, Tix is on 3-team territory, but most people will be on 2-team territory.
I would say 2 to 3 team territory.
Okay, I'll go on my main account and check 2 teams, which 2 teams I would run.
All right. So
Because I'm currently on my free to
while
play.
you do that, I want to hear from Don, and then Tix, and then Flick when if you're ready.
Well, for
And
me,
Book, if you're open for that too.
the way I've been doing it is basically, obviously, your two crazy units are your bison and your beast geef, right? So I'll usually try to split them up if I can across the 2 teams, since I'm not a 3-team quite yet. But because I'm using Nero as my second interrupt tool, sometimes I can't use him with like Bison in the thing, so then I end up just putting Bison and Beastgeef back together. But other than that, then yeah, like Nero's obviously been amazing because he does a small AoE, and you have him with Flanka, he can just grab everybody and you
Wait,
get
in PvP, Don Buka,
Yeah.
Nero is pretty strong because just he doesn't die, right? So then if I had a Nero, I would plug in my Nero onto replace it with Abel and then use Abel as an assist. So then you have that more flexible.
Okay.
And what Nero provides is just a tank that basically doesn't die. It helps the team as well by not doing anything in the combo chain, but his counterattacks as well, just his counterattacks alone, it does damage. And after a while, he does it AoE, right? And then when your team fully dies for some reason, and you have your Nero, he has a good clutch potential because his damage is pretty it's notable.
Well, by that time he's gonna have max demon stacks and his silence becomes 100% and it's 5 seconds.
Yeah. So then even when everyone dies and you have him alone, he can clutch it out and just wins it. Like just by using the super or his counterattack alone. And he's pretty hard to die just with the block, not blocks, evade. No, not evade.
Yeah. His parry.
Block. Yeah, parry.
His parry, which then turns into shields. With the shields absorb, like I've seen the man tank insane stuff that he should not be tanking. Like, I think I sent you the video. He like completely ate all of Dalzim's fireball from like when it left Dalzim's mouth all the way up through the air and then hit the ground, and he still lived.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, definitely he's solid for a story. You showed me videos, right, of him interrupting, so he's very an asset.
Yeah, for story that's
in PvP as well. Like for me, if I had my Able slot free, it would definitely be strong. Even like him as a tank, main lineup tank, is as strong as him in the assist position because his assist still provides quite a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One note for PvP, if you really want to focus on PvP, Sir Turtle and Don Buka, is when you're building a team, I would say you should spar with someone because, for example, if you look at well, I deleted the team just in case because some people over here are in my bracket. Ramio and Flake is in my bracket, but yeah, I deleted it. But if you have someone that is way more squishy, like S Yang, for example, I pair S Yang with Zangief, and he tends to die first, but him dying first doesn't mean it's bad because he probably already provides quite a bit, and it's later on in the battle. And when your units die, you want to see the interactions between when the combo chain swaps. So then when S Yang dies, it turns into Zangief C1 instead of S Yang C1. After Fashion Blanca, S Yang, and then the rest, it turns into Fashion Blanca, Zangief, OG Zangief, and then Fashion Blanca Dalsim. If Dalsim still dies, or if Dalsim dies during his use of C3, then it still becomes
Fashion Blanca, Zangief, Fashion Blanca, and Zangief doesn't die as fragile. He does die if there's quite a lot of single target units or units that aren't elemental damage, but still he'll still be there just because he's also a tank role. But like having in mind on how your units, because it's an auto game, auto mode, how your units play after they die, not just the initial combo itself. If that makes sense.
But what team? Again, you keep reverting back to PvP. Is that your favorite mode ever, Tix?
PvP does give a lot of resources. My name before I changed it to Tix is called not PvP, because I usually hate PvP games in gacha games because it's all mainly about power. Like power is the only thing that's gatekeep. But then over here we have somewhat scaled down. It's still whales have a better chance. Like maybe mega whales you can't win at all. But then it's more like people who spends $1,000 and people who are free to play. There is still chances that you can win. If they spend over 10 grand, of course you probably can't win that. But then it's in other gacha games you can't win. Period. You know, in this one there's still a fighting chance. That's why I like the game mode, just because it's a fairer. I would say it's a fair playing field, just because the money that they spent, they deserve what they gain in benefit, right? Like I spend my time, they spend their money, which is their time, real life.
Would you say that this game is opposite then, because you're saying that it's I guess free to play for PvP aspect, but it's straight pay to win for story mode?
I mean, for me, I don't care if someone is progressed at chapter 42 or 40. I mean, congratulations, Flakes. But you don't gain as much as you do if you're like a few chapters below. You do gain like a substantial daily increase in loot, not substantial, like a good amount. But then it doesn't merit the investments that you put into gaining.
But what about pride and bragging rights and stuff?
Yeah, pride and bragging right is there, definitely. But over the days, I don't usually care that much as I started off.
So that free to play banner is coming off soon. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean,
you're just waiting.
maybe.
You're
but
just
then
waiting.
I vowed that I wouldn't spend on gacha games just because of how predatory it is.
So it got to FOMO you to death before you spend.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, even if I spend, they're just gonna release even more new mechanics, new things that my spendings right now would be meaningless, right? It's gonna be outdated. So then it's just for an in moment gain that it could just go away in the future.
The second they release something that makes Flame Chun-Li worthless, that's when you're gonna see mega rage, mega flip.
The thing is, Flame Chun-Li being useless is going to be a while. It could happen, but then since there's 3 content, she might not be the best in slot, but she might be the best in slot in the third team or second team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's so many teams that it's hard to say like a unit is just gonna disappear. You know, like it sucks that I missed out on Nero, but I'm banking that Turtles or whatever future collabs if I like it, I'm gonna be like dope. Like let's say like they fucking do a One Piece collab somehow, never gonna happen. I'm just throwing it out there. That's never gonna happen. But if it did, holy shit, I'm 100% buying. I don't care if the kits suck. I'm just spending money on it. That's where
Would you
I'm
spend
looking.
1K?
Would I spend? No. If it's legendary, I'm spending money on it. If it's like, you know, I'll get the at where it is now. I and where I am now, I can't. If I had it, would I spend 1K? Sure.
I mean, yeah, I'm talking about if you can and are willing to spend on that.
No, yeah, if I'm willing, that's what I'm saying. If I had it and I was willing to spend on it, yeah, I actually would do it because I've never done it before. But my perspective is different. I've never whaled in a game ever. Like the most I spend is like $100.
Oh no, Dino is here, so he's actually writing all of this down. Oh no. Oh wait, Dix became a moderator now. Congratulations.
He's got a hammer. He's got the hammer box.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If anime came to Street Fighter duels like that, like I would be more likely to spend. Like I like the Devil May Cry, but that game or that IP didn't tickle my nostalgia fancy. Like if they did old Dante from Devil May Cry 1 and not this old fart of a man, like I don't like how his new design is. I might have been like, okay, yeah, that's dope. That's old school Dante where he hated everything and blah blah blah. But like give me something more like now. Like yeah, everyone's saying both Fury. Yeah, exactly. There's like just I could name so many anime that.
Wait, how did we get here, by the way?
What happened?
How did we get to anime collabs? I'm actually like I was phased out for a second, and then I actually just noticed we're talking about this.
I think someone said One Piece.
I said One Piece. So basically what I'm saying is like the urge of spending and why like what I would spend on if I had the money and why I would spend $1,000. Like I would spend $1,000 on Luffy over fucking Nero or Virgil or whatever.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But I prepared my double and triple team for a challenge.
And what's your double triple team?
Okay. So the first team, and this is for double teams because it changes a lot between double and triple team, would be Street Poison, Gal, Beast, Zangief, and Honda, for pretty obvious reasons. I mean, that team just blasts through it. You don't really need a Bison in that team. It just makes it easier. You run a Kami assist on Beast Zangief because it helps with keeping Gal's stacks up and also just obtaining stacks faster. And I run Rose assist on Gal. Because I don't know, it's just a unit that I had pretty early on, and it's still a pretty free-to-play friendly unit. I made this list as free-to-play friendly as I could because, of course, I would use a few different characters. But the Rose is you can buy her in the shop. She's widely available.
What's
You could
not
get her in
considered
events.
free to play friendly? Real quick, I'm just curious. Is Sagat not free to play friendly?
In my opinion, Rose is semi-free to play friendly because you could obtain her through other means than just divination, because you could get her from shops the same way that you could get Jury and Vega, but just please don't ever get Jury.
I would consider I would consider get the Trading Happy as free to play ish because you get them from events now.
Yeah, true. That I mentioned Vega Trendy Cam is in the same category where she's free to play esque in the sense that you could get copies without using divination, which gives you a head start on that character.
So then,
Bison
with
is
Gen being taken out of the pools, does that make Gen less free to play?
Gen makes him less free to play friendly, yeah, because I mean,
like aside from him being, if you want to say he's power crept for whatever he does or whatnot, blah blah blah. I'm just
He did get fixed.
the fact that he's removed from those pools.
Yeah, it's for right now, free to play esque units that are not like wind, lightning, or flame are Bison, because everyone just gets Bison. They get a copy basically for free from their first divination. They get 2 free Bison copies at their 7th pull, 10th pull. So I mean, you get basically 3 Bison copies for free, which only requires another 11, which sounds like a lot. But I've realized this on my free to play. I think that your first triple S character is way easier to obtain.
It is. So like, it wouldn't even have to be Bison. Like somebody could go for Sagat.
Yeah.
Like, why would you?
Yeah, I mean,
but the thing is, people, there's people that would. I've seen people pull for Mummy Sim out of their divinations, and I'm like,
yeah, don't get me started on what people have pulled.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen people say that they pulled Mad Ryu on divination. I'm just like,
Please don't mention that. I get triggered by it. Just please.
Yeah, you've seen it
like
too,
hurts my
and I'm
soul.
just like, I can't. The only thing I can tell them is, do your boo boo, because I just cannot comprehend the stupidity in that moment. But people are different.
If they like Ryu, then oh well.
Yeah,
But
I mean, yeah.
Back to the teams, because I think we wanted to discuss this, and it's like an important topic in the sense that a lot of people are stuck here.
Yeah.
So the Gal Beast and Give team, I think everyone knows how to use it. You interrupt with Beast and Give C2, and Gal, of course, is crazy damage with his C3, especially when they're clumped up by Beast and Give C2.
Mhm.
But so that team functions really well. And then the other team would be... Which team would it be?
It would be hyper damage, right? From Bison and
Yeah, I got the screenshot again. So it was Bison, Fashion Blanca, Chun-Li, and Yang. You could swap out Chun-Li with Honda if you know you can interrupt them with Honda C1, because if you can interrupt them, of course, it makes your life easier because they don't deal as much damage and your units are less likely to die, even though you have Bison frontline. Yeah.
I would
interrupt-
replace Chun-Li with Dawson so you could work with Bison better, but that's me.
The reason why I have Dalsim assist on Fashion Blanca and Chun-Li in the main lineup is because Chun-Li is built by more free-to-plays than Dalsim. I'm thinking of what the most people will have access to, and Chun-Li...
I have many words for you, but
No, I'm just talking, what does the main population in SFDF? Of course, I agree with you, Dalsim T3 is a better alternative, but not many people have him 6 out of 6, plus 20, plus 30, where he needs to be to perform as well as he does for us.
And why is that? I'm curious. I know this is off topic and this is just more of a me thing, but what makes it everyone else so attractive?
So Chun-Li, first of all,
damage up front, and I think it's just that Dalsim, like even late game, you're relying a lot on his burns and stuff like that, which aren't readily apparent. And when he's lower level, those burns are way harder to put off. So like he scales and ramps up like crazy, but his early game compared to somebody that can just burst out the damage feels comparatively weaker.
Yeah,
but look at the first purchase pack. What does it give?
Chun-Li, yeah.
So more people will think, okay, Chun-Li is offered here for money, well, for free if we spend money. So she must be good. So more people are inclined to build Chun-Li than Dalsim, especially when there's people still advertising that Viper is the best DPS in the game. They will think, okay, Viper
is like still like Mad Ryu. Chun-Li was purchasable, but nobody was using her to go through the story.
I know like quite a few like old heads that like started day one that like still used Chun-Li through chapters and stuff, and I had to convince them that it wasn't the best idea to run her as your solo DPS.
Whoa.
I mean, people still ain't figure out the poison chain.
She's not fine as a solo DPS. She doesn't have the damage to carry you through high level discrepancies that other units have. But so the reason why the Fashion Blanca, Chun-Li, Bison, and Summer Yang team works is because, first of all, Summer Yang as a support offers more utility in the sense that with his FS and his scars, you deal more damage, which is ideally what you want because the survivability and the shields are fine as they are, and Elena just pretty much offers the healing alone, which could net you into timeouts, which is not really where you want to go. And as Yang, it just seems like a better plan for this. Fashion Blanca, we all know his damage. Everyone has him after, about a month or like a month and 2 weeks at last. At worst, sorry. And then Chun-Li is there to increase your combo meter and get more combos off. And Bison is just Bison. I don't need to like talk about him. I think Fei Long has an assist on Bison. Fei Long increases flame damage for as long as that the assisted fighter is alive. Bison stays alive till your whole team is dead, so he keeps increasing the damage. Dalsim is a really good assist on Fashion Blanca. But if you have Dhalsim built and your Chun-Li is a bit worse, then you could swap them around because Chun-Li is also a good assist on Fashion Blanca to increase his crits. And then, of course, you have a more damaging C3 in Dhalsim, which could also help you.
And Fei Long also
So-
increases burn as well.
Yeah, it increases the burn and the flame damage, my bad. But then for the triple teams, which is where it gets a bit more rough, because I actually had to think about the free-to-play teams I would use, because I wasn't going to put Fashion Sakura in there as an assist somewhere. I couldn't really put Akuma in there, even as an assist, because still not that many people will have him. I couldn't put an Evil Ryu in there. You know, those kind of units. But so the first team, the one that I'm still using, is in 4 teams, is Bison, Chun, Dhalsim, and Summer Yang. Because ideally, if you want to do triple teams, you need more than like 3 or 4 plus 30s, right? You need like a lot of utility to be plus 30. You need Dhalsim and other damaging units to be plus 30. So at this point, when you get your Dhalsim plus 36 out of 6, pair him with Bison and you will clear waves in 2 or 3 combos. Chun-Li is there for the C2, also to give you more energy so you could combo faster, because this team will not have an interrupt. So you ideally want to kill most of the units into combos, and Chun-Li helps with that. Summer Yang is in there because he offers a bit of shielding, a bit of damage, and a bit of healing, which is always good. I have Cody assist on Dhalsim because I couldn't really get the best assist I wanted, because I had to use him at the best assist for him on other lineups because they need him more. But Cody assist increases your damage to their highest attack member, which most likely also is the biggest threat to your lineup. So if you deal extra damage to them, they die faster, so that threat is eliminated faster. And Fei Long assist on Bison, I already explained this. He increases flame and burn damage, and Dhalsim is all about flame and burn damage. The second team is basically your Gal team and B-Zangief team, but you run a regular Zangief instead of a Honda as your frontline, because you need Honda with Fashion Blanca. But so the rest of the team remains the same. You've got your Street Poison assist, Street Poison in tag, your Rose assist, and your Kami as support on B-Zangief. Your last team, in my opinion, would be Honda as your frontline with Able Assist. Able Assist helps Honda stay alive, because Honda, while he has his desperation and stuff, while his desperation is down, or if you're facing a Rose or a Dhalsim, they deal an incredible amount of damage in one hit, even as just basic attacks. The shield of Able can absorb it or help with the extra damage to come. Then you have Fashion Blanca, because, well, Fashion Blanca is a really good TPS for everyone. He's widely available. Everyone gets him. I have Mad Ryu assist on him because I didn't really have a better assist for him that I could think of. Chun-Li for your C3, and then Elena as your support. The Fashion Blanca Honda combo is very interesting in a sense that Fashion Blanca's super pushes everyone back. And when a unit uses their combo to start from the opposing lineup, 99% of the time you could interrupt them with a Honda C1. Because they always go forward a bit, and then if you get them with your Honda C1, it is a 50% chance to stun, which is quite large. It interrupts them, and then you're good to go. You use Fashion Blanca C2 and Chun C3, because Chun C3, especially at plus 30, gives so much energy back, which is something you will need because Fashion Blanca's damage falls off as level discrepancies increase, so you will need more combos.
So does Honda Soulstone actually work good?
Honda Soulstone, I have not tried it. I haven't really looked into it. I think that Honda Soulstone is something you should not do. I think it's still the best place to keep your Soulstones. If you really want to use them, Viper is your best choice. Don't ever use them on Street Poison, because I read the buffs that it gives. And unless you try to use your C2 Charm, and that requires level 80, which is an insane investment that no free-to-play can get at the current moment.
But Street Poison?
Yeah, Street Poison gets a charm on a C2. No, just no character in general can get level 80 as a free-to-play. I think free-to-plays can get level 60, maybe 65, but nowhere close to level 80 with the current resources that you got for free from clearing challenge, clearing tower, etc. Of course, you will get them in time because grants give the soul stones, blah blah blah.
I have an addition to your teams. Well, one is that Dalsim Super. If it's harder to play with the pushback than Fashion Blancas, but then you technically can push the front back enough when you use the Super for Dalsim correctly. It's harder than Fashion Blanca because Fashion Blanca just pushes everyone, but then it does work with Dalsim Super. And I've been seeing, I mean, especially Ramios and yourself, right? Because you also use it, but B Cody as a third form of interrupt. So you have E Honda, and then you have B Zangief, and then B Cody, because his interrupt chance is basically the same as E Honda's interrupt chance. It's also 50%.
The reason I don't like Cody as much is because there will be times where Cody is like, haha, lol, and he will grab the second in slot and not the third in slot. Yeah. Also, ideally, you only want to use him once because the chances of him surviving throughout the combat is very slim. And unless you can use him on a Dalsim wave where, with your Dalsim team, sorry, and you can actually 2-shot or 3-shot them like I have done, I don't think it's a viable strategy.
Okay,
I might be wrong about this.
How about this, Flake? Like, what if you use B Cody, since you're worrying about his death? Why don't you use B Cody in the tag position and then just cheese tag? Then you'll never die.
Oh yeah, if you kind of bug abuse and you use the tag position super combo starter.
Yeah.
Are we talking about alternate teams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Cody, man. He just got me through 37-36.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But
speaking
so-
of 37s,
Cody, right?
Don and Stupendous could probably speak on it because, like, I also want to speak on like other teams outside of free to play as well. Maybe some casuals to spend while they're pooping and stuff like that. What teams would you guys suggest? Because I know, like Don, I want to hear from you because you're the one that I'm proud of. That I'm like, yeah, I know this guy. He's doing stuff.
So there's this one team where you go like Bison, Beegeef, Street Poison, and Guile.
I hate you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is a really good team.
No, just yes, I know. Yes, it is
I've
a good
actually
team.
found a lot of success in the very early stages of 2-team content. So, like, as you're getting your feet wet, you can still kind of DPS check it a little bit, and you can just blow the doors off with like maximal F Blanca, Dalsim, like in whatever C1 S Poison, whatever, and just kind of beat the crap out of him, pray something dies within the first couple rotations, and let your Bison triggers work. That's one of the reasons to let the Bison and the Beegeef be split, is so that you can kind of use Bison's damage on a team that doesn't have an easy time interrupting. If you're facing someone that can't be easily melee interrupted with like Honda or Makoto or Dudley or whatever melee interrupts exist.
So outside of Bison and Beast and Geef, what teams would you suggest?
So wait, one question. Tix, what level were you when you got to chapter 38? Or like, depends what level are you now?
Okay, wait. For
When you cleared 3740, what level were you?
I am on 37-40 right now because I just got there. So I'll probably finish that like not today. But I am
What level are you?
Let me see. What am I? 319.
Okay, so Tix, you were also around that level, right?
I was 319 as well. Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much when you can get there, if you have these teams, is around 315 to 320 is probably the threshold to get to chapter 38.
So Tix, what teams you use? And Stupendous, but throw in what teams you use too.
You don't like the Bison and Bizangief team?
No, like I know it's not that I don't like them. The thing is that I know everyone's gonna use them. So we're at a point where like 2, 3, 4 teams, so we need other teams outside of them. Like those are like the dead horses that's already been suggested. Like
Okay,
what?
okay. For me,
That's
I was
why.
about to say those teams. Like, I don't know if it's hard or something like that, but there's still possibilities to use other teams, other cheese methods, but then it requires way more, way harder time and way harder RNG to pull off. So I don't know if it is possible to have different comps to clear it in lower deficit, but then it just requires way more effort, which I don't know why would you want to put yourself in way more stress.
Challenge. That's all it is. Challenge and pride.
I mean, it is called
Like
challenge for a
why
reason.
do people walk around fire and cold and climb with no ropes and dig in and climb through caves and risk their lives? Because motherfuckers are stupid and they want to challenge.
You play on auto mode. You're not challenged by anything. You
Well,
just let
that's the
CPU
extra
play.
challenge. My challenge is how far I can go with the least amount of effort and tell everybody else, you know what? You can do this by being lazy and suck.
But I mean, the teams that I said are like pretty standardized nowadays, as in a lot of people use them. So I think Tix uses pretty much similar teams. Stupendous probably did. So squeezing completely different teams out of us will, I think, be difficult.
You
I
all
think it's
disappoint me.
possible. It's
You
just-
all disappoint me.
It requires a lot of luck. Like, I'm not going to use DJ to stun someone. I'm not going to
Or
use
Dudley.
Kodo to stun someone. But
I use Dudley on 4 teams, but Dudley,
Nero though. That Nero C1 at plus 30 though.
again, I tried to make them free to play, as in not include any legendaries that you can't obtain or
I can that's markable though.
Yeah.
Make friends, be somebody.
I mean, if you're gonna merc a Nero, why wouldn't you just merc a Virgil?
That,
When Virgil
okay,
goes-
so
Does Virgil have a 100% AoE stun?
I
Does Virgil
asked this.
solo clear waves without any actual supports
Are
at
you
chapter
still
39,
free
40?
to play if you're murking
As a
whales
merc, I
stuff?
doubt that.
Yeah, he does.
Let
Virgil's
me
pretty
ask
crazy.
this. Let me ask this.
He does.
Okay,
Hicks.
well I will I'm assuming it's easier to merc a legendary than it is to merc Virgil.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah. So, but let me ask this: are you still considered free to play if you merc whale units?